with your host, Jaden Miller.
Good afternoon on this beautiful Sunday in Phoenix, Arizona. It's Super Bowl Sunday. Who's your team today? Is it the Rams or is it the Bengals? This is Jaden Miller. Welcome to Think About It with Jaden Miller. Welcome back, folks. Glad to have you join me. Hey, I have a YouTube channel. Please like, share, and subscribe on my YouTube channel, and continue to like, comment, and follow me on your favorite podcast platform. All right, it is good to have you guys back and joining me again. This is Black History Month, and seeing that I am an African American person, I think it would be great if I shared a little bit of Black history with you. Black history is American history, and just because we as African American people want to amplify our contributions to American society, understand there's a reason for this. We do this because so often African American contributions are overlooked in this nation. We have people out there that think that this whole critical race theory has something to do with, not even being able to mention, Black contributions to society, which I think is very idiotic. The very people that have a problem with CRT have no knowledge of Black history and probably in many instances don't even like Black people. It's really ridiculous. They bring this up because they feel as though this is blaming folks or guilting people for things that happened in the past. The past is the past, but in order to have a bright future in this country, don't you think it's good that we look back and look at the things that were done negatively so that we can correct them so that they won't be problems in the future? But today I'm going to talk about Black History Month, and I'm going to talk about Black inventors. That is the focus, Black inventors. Did you know that Philip Downing invented the street mailbox? Did you know that Joseph H. Smith invented the sprinkler? These were African American inventors, okay, that many of us did not know made a contribution to American society. All right. So I'm going to talk about, a whole bunch of people from different types of, inventing categories. For example, we've got computers and phones and maybe automation, maybe sound and home security, maybe even everyday life. We often hear about tech giants like Elon Musk or Mark Zuckerberg, and how they advanced the technological landscape, but there are so many others, so many other African Americans who have performed throughout the United States and world history as well when it comes to this whole advancing tech landscape. However, often their contributions are overlooked. All right. So let's talk a little bit about some Black inventors in the tech industry. For example, there's someone named Mark Dean. He was a noted IBM engineer and led the design team for the ISA bus. He spearheaded the color computer monitor and was a collaborator on the first gigahertz chip. This eventually allowed computers to connect to devices like printers and monitors. So without the dedication, without the intelligence, without all of the know-how from Mark Dean, where would we be in the tech industry as it relates to those things? There's a woman named Shirley Jackson. All right. Her work led to fiber optics, touch-tone telephones, caller ID, call waiting, and even solar cells. All right. This is Shirley Jackson. Okay. A brilliant African-American scholar. All right. How about Otis Boykin? Otis Boykin invented the pacemaker and also worked with IBM computers. Otis Boykin invented more than 25 electronic devices, including chemical air filters, burglar-proof cash registers, electronic resistors that control missiles. All right. So this is an African-American man that did this. Okay. Why is this important? You may ask. I want you to think about it. Why is this important, Jaden Miller? It's important because so often, or more often than not, we hear negative things about African Americans. we have the whole angry black woman, or, there's this myth that all black men are going to jail or in jail or part of the criminal justice system, which is certainly not the case. And it's just, ugly, racist, media driven, and ugly people that perpetuate these types of stereotypes. When in fact, most African American people are studious and obey the laws and want to see us as a human race continue to move forward. All right. So we want to make sure that people understand that there are contributions to the world other than rap music. Okay. Or fashion design. Okay. Or social media, people, There's so much more to us than just different types of hairstyles and the fact that we can dance and maybe we play basketball better than other people do. You know what I'm saying? All right. There's a gentleman named Dr. Philip Imagwalai. Okay. And I may not be pronouncing his name correctly. It seems like may have been from Africa. All right. But he's credited with inventing the world's first supercomputer, capable of performing 3.1 billion calculations per second. Dr. Imagwalai's work is often associated with the advent of the internet as we know it. Okay. All right. So here's someone else that, contributed very, very much to the world of supercomputers. All right. Here's someone else, Emmett McHenry. He founded Netcom Solutions. All right. A telecommunications entrepreneur. All right. Let's talk about VoIP technology. You guys have heard of VoIP technology. Voice over Internet Protocol is what VoIP stands for. All right. So Skype, Magic Jack, Vonage, and other internet-based audio, video, and text communication applications wouldn't be around if not for that VoIP technology. And that voice over internet protocol technology was invented by an African American woman by the name of Dr. Marion Croak. Okay, she has a PhD. Okay, and she is a PhD holder in quantitative analysis from the University of Southern California. She started her career at AT&T, where she worked for over 30 years and served as Senior Vice President of Research and Development of the company. She predicted that IP and the internet would be a hit, which motivated her to develop a technology that would transform the internet. And thanks to her, we enjoy the perks of voice over internet protocol, okay? With video conferencing like Zoom, okay? And online messaging and Skype calls, all right? Dr. Croak by herself holds over 125 patents in VoIP technology and manages more than 2,000 engineers and computer scientists responsible for AT&T's enterprise and consumer wireline and mobility services. All right. She's also serves as Google's vice president of engineering. All right. There's an African American woman that has done this, all of this stuff that we take for granted. All right. Well, here's another person. Have you ever heard of the use of a microphone? Okay, just a simple microphone. Okay, then you need to thank James E. West. All right, James E. West. He developed the electroacoustic transducer electric microphone in the 1960s. Their concept was so good that 90% of microphones used today follow the original design. All right. So here's another African American person contributing to the world of technology, contributing to the greatness of the world and to, of course, the United States of America. What has become modern day home security systems all started with a black woman. There's a black woman, her name was Marie Van Brittan Brown, and she wanted to feel safer at home. So she developed a home security system using peepholes, cameras, and a radio-controlled wireless system. The system relayed images to a monitor. It also enabled the person watching the monitor to communicate with the person being filmed via two-way microphones. A remote control also allowed Marie to lock or unlock the door at a distance. This technology, this brilliance from this African American woman paved the way for modern closed circuit television and home security as we know it. All right. So again, more and more contributions by African Americans. Okay. And it's so important that you know these things. Okay. Because again, if we want to call ourselves Americans, then I thought that, Americans means all Americans. Okay. So just because we talk about Black History Month does not mean that we've separated ourselves off into someplace else. It's that because sometimes African Americans aren't recognized for their contributions. We want to make sure as Americans that all people are recognized for their contributions. Just because we make sure that you know that they were African American or if they were white or Jewish or whatever doesn't mean anything, because this is the melting pot. Okay, this is a country where all are should be known and all should be recognized, and all should be acknowledged for the things that we have done. And hopefully we'll get to the point one day we won't have to say, oh, the first African American or this African American. And hopefully we'll get to the point where we don't have to do that. But until we do, it is still great to recognize the achievements of African Americans, because there are people still in this country, and I call them the ugly people that want to deny, certain races, certain genders, the fact that they have done things, to advance our world, to advance technology, to advance American society. Hey, I want you to check out one of my fellow podcasters. The Thrive Hood podcast is a relevant life roadmap for boys and young men who want to thrive as they mature boldly into manhood. Offering a dose of seasoned wisdom along with some offbeat humor, Tim Williams chats about various topics like how to have a manly handshake, good qualities girls look for in a guy, and 3 relationships worth maintaining. As you grow up, if becoming the best version of yourself is important to you, check out thrivehoodpodcast.com or listen on your favorite platform. Check out Tim Williams, guys. All right. And then continuing my discussion on African American History Month, Black History Month, I'm talking about Black inventors. So here's our next one. Dr. Jane Cook Wright was the first African American woman to be elected as the president of the New York Cancer Society, making her the highest ranked African American woman at a nationally recognized medical institution. Dr. Wright is widely known in the medical community for her contribution to the development of chemotherapy treatment. She introduced the technique of using human tissue cultures and testing chemotherapeutic drugs instead of mice. Dr. Wright also implemented a comprehensive program to study stroke, heart disease, and cancer, and created another program to instruct doctors in chemotherapy in the late 1960s. All right, that's Dr. Jane Cook Wright. All right, here's another. Charles Drew, Dr. Charles Drew, is known for his contribution to medtech. In his short life of only 46 years, Dr. Drew revolutionized blood storage. His refrigerated blood mobiles stored blood at a temperature to prolong its shelf life. This further revolutionized blood storage and plasma banks for World War II. All right. So now here's somebody that piggybacked off of Dr. Drew. This is John Standard. He patented an improvement to the refrigerator in 1891. The non-electrical solution used an ice-filled section that chilled contents. Before that, in 1889, he also conceived an oil stove that conserved space. This made the stovetop cooking method more versatile and available. All right, so we're talking about inventors, Black inventors. All right, here's another. George Washington Carver. All right, so when we talk about George Washington Carver, we always talk about the peanuts. All right, well, he certainly is much, much more famous than just this idea of peanuts or peanut butters. He was recruited by Booker T. Washington for the Tuskegee Institute. And Dr. Carver did extensive work and study on agriculture. He wanted to find a way to ameliorate the damage done by exhaustive cotton farming. The first step was to rehabilitate the soil in southern farms. So Dr. Carver taught farmers about crop rotation and fertilization. So, after conducting the studies on which crops thrive in various areas, his answer came in the form of peanuts. As a result of his research and work, peanuts emerged in more than 300 products. Okay, so we're talking about Dr. George Washington Carver, all right, recruited to the Tuskegee Institute by another famous African American, Booker T. Washington. All right. So here we are again talking about contributions of African Americans to our society. Let's talk about this one. One of the most iconic toys of the 1990s came from NASA engineer Lonnie Johnson. He worked in the Jet Propulsion Laboratory at NASA on the Cassini mission to Saturn and the Jupiter Galileo mission. He also served in the Air Force. His work focused on the Johnson thermoelectric energy converter. Okay, Dr. Johnson's aims to convert solar energy into electricity using this advanced heat engine with twice the efficacy of current methods. All right. Dr. Johnson continues a long history of African American advances in aerospace, physics, and even early 3D tech. All right. How about Dr. George Alcorn, who innovated imaging X-ray tech in the form of the spectrometer? The thermal migration of aluminum enabled the device to better show material compositions. All right. Perhaps one of the most influential black scientists was Jesse Ernest Wilkins Jr., who collaborated on the Manhattan Project. He worked with Eugene Wigner to develop the Wilkins effect and the Wigner-Wilkins spectrum. His work also involved the design and development of nuclear reactors for the purpose of generating electrical power. All right. So we're talking about these very, very important scientific inventions, all right, that have helped us in our world and helped us in our country and helped us to even maybe a small degree, specifically when it comes to these things in our everyday lives. All right. A few years ago, there was a movie called Hidden Figures. All right. And it's called Hidden Figures because there were 3 black women, okay, who were hidden figures beyond the Apollo missions. These black women made huge contributions to the various fields of science, but because of racism, because of Jim Crow, because of segregation, quite often their contributions, their gifted scientific minds were kept, and then the fact that they were women, okay, were kept in the background. So I'm talking about Dorothy Vaughan, Kathleen Johnson, and Mary Jackson. These gifted scientific minds, these 3 women were integral in developing the math behind NASA's first successful space missions. All right, these 3 women. There's a movie about them. You should watch it called Hidden Figures. All right. So again, we're talking about major contributions. And if you've noticed by listening to this podcast, these are men, these are women, that have contributed so much, all right, to our society. All right. Let's talk about a few things that relate to our everyday use. Okay. Necessity, of course, is the mother of invention, but simplicity is key. Black inventors Lloyd Ray and Sarah Boone recognized this. They invented the dustpan and the ironing board, respectively. All right. Ever use a dustpan to sweep? Yeah. Ever use an ironing board to iron? Yes. All right. Well, there you go. All right. These things may not be as important as the ones that I mentioned, but nonetheless, they are still things that we use in our everyday lives to make our everyday lives so much easier. Okay. How about Mary and Mildred Davidson? They invented the toilet paper holder. Okay. Yes, that little round thing. All right. That's used. Okay. Black women invented that. All right. That's important, folks. All right. Think about it. All right. Philip Downing, I told you already, invented the street mailbox. All right. What about traffic lights? You know, the little circular things that are up in the sky, up in the air. All right. When you're driving, you see red, yellow, and green. All right. Well, you can't talk about the traffic light without talking about the African-American Garrett Morgan. All right. He is the one credited for the innovative addition to the traffic lights of the yield or yellow light. Okay. That's what he's known for. One of the things that he's known for. Okay. Why is that? Well, he was one of the first African Americans in his community to have a car. All right. Garrett Morgan saw a really, really bad traffic accident. All right. Because the lights at the time only cycled between red and green. All right. Well, he thought that there needs to be some middle ground there. Okay. So when a car is getting ready to enter the intersection, okay, and the light turns yellow, that alerts you that pretty soon the light is going to turn red. All right. And so you either need to slow down or you need to come to a stop. We have Garrett Morgan. All right, to thank for that. All right. He also developed a gas mask prototype called a safety hood in 1914. But due to racial tension in the South, Garrett had to hire a white actor to play him in order for his inventions to move forward. Ridiculous, isn't it? But hey, that's the game he had to play. All right. How about Lewis Latimer? Okay. Many black inventors worked hand in hand with more famous, often white inventors. Lewis Latimer, for example, collaborated with both Thomas Edison and Alexander Graham Bell. He developed the carbon filament in modern light bulbs and helped design Bell's telephone. His patents also included railroad car water closets and the electric lamp. All right. How about Granville T. Woods? He earned the nickname the Black Edison for his numerous contributions. His first patent came in 1889 for an improvement to steam boiler furnaces. Due to his acumen in the industry, many of his subsequent inventions and patents revolved around electrical devices. All right. So I've been talking to you a little bit about African American contributions, all right, to the world. All right. There are so many more. So many more. All right. So I want you all to do this. Okay. We're Americans. All right. And we talk about how we want a fair and equal society. All right. How we want one that, does not necessarily depend on the race of a person or the color of their skin, but the content of their character. That's what some people say when they really want to say, you know what, we just really don't want to talk about stuff that has to do with the African Americans anymore. They try to use Dr. King's words against him. Ridiculous. All right. But the fact of the matter is, often we are told about the contributions, okay, of others, all right, at the expense of the contributions. And many of these contributions are extremely important in our everyday lives. And I just hit the tip of the iceberg. I didn't even get into some more really other important inventions and contributions that Black inventors have made to American society. And that's American society at the minimal. We're talking about at the world maximum. Okay. And so it's so important to talk about these things. It's so important to acknowledge these things. Okay. In the United States of America, we can acknowledge people that are different. Okay. All right. Just because we are supposed to come together as one, indivisible, one nation under God, indivisible. That doesn't mean that we can't talk about, all of the great things that, someone from this racial group did, or someone from, this gender did, or, LGBTQ contributions, or the contributions of American natives or American Indians to our society, indigenous people, or, all of the great things that Jewish people did, especially when they came to this country during the time that Hitler had taken over, Europe. All right. So there's just so many great things, all right, that have been contributed to this society by so many of us. All right. This just so happens to be Black History Month. Let's celebrate the contributions that a segment of our American society, a segment, don't forget, that was denigrated, marginalized, abused, sexually assaulted, pillaged, stolen from their homeland. We can at least acknowledge, the contributions that these people made to American society. All right. That's the least we can do. All right. Okay. So here, before I go today, I just want to remind you guys, there is a podcast that I listen to quite often. It is Russ and Les, the Man Space Podcast. These guys are great. All right. They discuss life relationships and a multitude of subjects from a man's perspective. You all have got to check out their latest episode, Man versus the Return of the Love Doctor. Russ and Les know how to get into some stuff, guys. Let me tell you. You can check out their podcast on themanspacepodcast.com, all right? Or you can listen to them on your favorite podcast platform, all right? Check out Russ and Les. Those guys are the best. All right, this is Jaden Miller. This is Think About It with Jaden Miller. Today, we've been talking about Black History Month, and we've been talking about inventors, all right? Those that have, provided some great inventions to our everyday life, and, some in the tech field, and some as simple as a dustpan or an ironing board, or, the cycling of a traffic signal, or the development of a gas mask. Again, these things are so important to American society. They're so important to the world society. All right. So thank you guys for listening to another episode of Think About It with Jaden Miller. I am your host, Jaden Miller. Please like, share, and subscribe on my YouTube channel, and like, comment, and follow on your favorite podcast platform. I'm on all of them: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Spreaker, Google Podcasts, SoundCloud, iHeartRadio, and more. All right. I look forward to hearing from you guys. I look forward to seeing you on my next podcast. Have a great day.
Thank you for listening to Think About It with Jaden Miller. Don't forget to like and subscribe to his YouTube channel, and like and follow on your favorite podcast platform.